After years of interstellar travel, humanity had finally developed the technology to reach beyond the Milky Way, and Aria's mission was to make first contact with any intelligent life they encountered. Captain, with picking up an anomalous energy signature, reported Lieutenant Marcus Reeves, the ship's sensor officer. His dark eyes widened as he studied the readouts on his holographic display. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. Aria leaned forward in her command chair, her heart racing with excitement and trepidation. Can you pinpoint the source? Marcus nodded, his fingers dancing across the controls. Yes, ma'am. It's coming from a planet in a nearby star system. Looks like it could be artificial in origin. Helmsman, set a course, Aria ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Let's make history. As the horizon approached the mysterious planet, the crew's excitement was palpable. The world before them was a swirling mass of purple and green, with vast oceans and towering mountain ranges visible even from orbit. Life signs detected, Marcus announced. And, Captain, I'm picking up artificial structures on the surface. It's definitely an advanced civilization. Aria took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Open a channel on all frequencies. Let's introduce ourselves. For several tense moments, there was no response. Then suddenly, a crackling sound filled the bridge, followed by a series of high-pitched clicks and whistles. Universal Translator is having trouble, Communications Officer Zara Patel reported, her brow furrowed in concentration. Give it a moment. There, I think we've got it. A deep, resonant voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately. Aria stood, straightening her uniform. This is Captain Aria Chen of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We come in peace, seeking to establish friendly contact with your people. There was a long pause before the alien voice responded. Earth vessel, your presence here violates numerous interstellar treaties. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Confusion and alarm spread across the bridge. Aria exchanged worried glances with her first officer, Commander Jack Torres. There must be some misunderstanding, she said carefully. We're not aware of any treaties. This is our first venture beyond our own galaxy. Ignorance is no excuse, the alien voice growled. You will comply, or we will open fire. Before Aria could respond, the ship rocked violently. Warning klaxons blared as red emergency lights bathed the bridge in an ominous glow. We're under attack, Marcus shouted. Multiple energy weapons targeting our propulsion and defensive systems. Aria gripped the arms of her chair, her mind racing. Evasive maneuvers. Bring weapons online, but hold your fire. We don't want to escalate this further. The horizon banked hard, narrowly avoiding another barrage of energy blasts, but they were outgunned and taken by surprise. Within minutes, their shields were failing and smoke was beginning to fill the bridge. Captain, we can't take much more of this, Jack warned, coughing as he helped an injured crewman to his feet. Aria's heart sank as she realized the gravity of their situation. Their mission of peace and discovery had turned into a nightmare. All hands, prepare to abandon ship, she ordered, her voice heavy with regret. Make for the escape pods. As the crew scrambled to evacuate, Aria remained on the bridge, determined to give her people every chance of survival. She watched in horror as alien vessels, sleek and predatory, circled the crippled horizon like sharks smelling blood. Just as she was about to head for the last escape pod, a blinding light engulfed the bridge. Aria felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body, and then darkness. When she regained consciousness, Aria found herself in a cold, sterile room. The air was thick and humid, making it difficult to breathe. As her vision cleared, she realized she was surrounded by tall, insectoid creatures with multifaceted eyes and chitinous exoskeletons. One of the aliens stepped forward, its mandibles clicking menacingly. Human, it said, the word dripping with disdain. You and your kind have much to answer for. Arya struggled against her restraints, confusion and fear battling for dominance in her mind. Please, he gasped. There's been a mistake. We meant no harm. The alien's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with an emotion Arya couldn't quite identify. Was it anger, disgust, or something else entirely? No harm, the creature hissed. Your species has brought nothing but destruction to this galaxy, and now you dare to encroach upon our territory. But we've never been here before, Arya protested. We're explorers seeking peaceful contact with other intelligent life. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter, but it sent chills down Arya's spine. Your lies will not save you, human. You will be interrogated, and then you will face justice for your crimes. As the creature turned to leave, Arya called out desperately, Wait, what about my crew? Are they alive? The alien paused at the doorway, its antennae twitching. Those who survived are being processed. Pray to whatever deities you believe in that they are more forthcoming with information than you have been. With that ominous statement, the door slid shut, leaving Arya alone in the alien's cell. She slumped back, her mind reeling from the bizarre turn of events. How had humanity's greatest journey of discovery turned into a nightmare of accusations and imprisonment? And more importantly, how would she find a way to protect her crew and clear up this deadly misunderstanding? As exhaustion and stress took their toll, Arya's eyes began to close. Her last conscious thought was a determination to find answers and a way out of this mess. Little did she know that her ordeal was only beginning, and that the fate of not just her crew, but potentially all of humanity, would rest on her shoulders. Days blurred together in Arya's alien cell. The constant, eerie humming of energy fields and the occasional scuttling of her insectoid captors were her only companions. She had lost track of time, but her resolve remained unbroken. Every interrogation session, every accusation hurled at her, only strengthened her determination to uncover the truth and save her crew. It was during one such interrogation that Arya finally gained a clue about the nature of humanity's supposed crimes. Her primary interrogator, an insectoid she had mentally dubbed Clicksworth due to the incessant clicking of its mandibles, seemed particularly agitated that day. You continue to feign ignorance, Clicksworth chittered, pacing back and forth in the stark, metallic room. Perhaps a more direct approach is necessary. Arya steeled herself, expecting another round of invasive psychic probing or physical discomfort. Instead, Clicksworth activated a holographic display. The image that materialized made Arya's blood run cold. It showed a planet, beautiful and blue like Earth, suddenly engulfed in flames. Massive ships, unmistakably of human design, rained destruction from orbit. Billions of insectoid aliens, not unlike her captors, fled in terror or were incinerated where they stood. This, Clicksworth hissed, is what your kind did to our colony world of Thantos. 3 billion lives, extinguished in a day, and you dare to claim ignorance. Arya stared at the images in horror and disbelief. That's impossible, she whispered. We've only just developed the technology to leave our galaxy. This can't be us. Clicksworth's compound eyes seemed to narrow. The evidence is irrefutable. The energy signatures of the weapons, the design of the ships, all match your technology perfectly. But it doesn't make sense, Arya protested, her mind racing. Even if we had the capability, why would we attack a world we've never encountered? There must be some explanation. The alien interrogator leaned in close, its breath hot and acrid. That is precisely what we intend to discover, human, one way or another. As Clicksworth turned to leave, Arya called out, Wait, please, I want to help. If what you're saying is true, then someone is impersonating humanity. We're both victims here. The alien paused at the door, its antennae twitching thoughtfully. A clever ploy, Captain Chen, but your words mean nothing without proof. After Clicksworth left, Arya slumped back in her restraints, her mind whirling with possibilities. The technology she had seen in the hologram was far beyond anything Earth currently possessed. Either her captors were lying, or something far more sinister was at play. Exhausted but unable to sleep, Aria's thoughts turned to her crew. Were they facing similar interrogations? Had any of them managed to escape? The uncertainty gnawed at her, but she clung to hope like a lifeline. It was during one of these restless moments that Aria noticed something odd. A small section of the cell's wall seemed to shimmer, almost imperceptibly. At first, she thought it was a trick of the light or her tired mind playing tricks on her. But as she focused, she realized the distortion was real and growing. Suddenly, a figure materialized through the shimmering patch. Aria's eyes widened in shock as she recognized one of her crew members, Zara Patel, the communications officer. "Captain," Zara whispered urgently, rushing to Aria's side. "Thank God you're alive. We don't have much time." As Zara worked to release Aria's restraints, the captain bombarded her with questions. "How did you get here? Where are the others? What's going on?" Zara's fingers flew over the alien control panel. "It's a long story, Captain. The short version is, we're not alone out here, and I don't just mean the bugs. There's another human faction, far more advanced than us, and they're the ones behind the attack on Tsar Thantos." Aria's mind reeled at the implications. But how? Why? "We're not sure of all the details," Zara admitted as the last restraint fell away. "But we've made contact with a resistance group, both aliens and humans. They're fighting against this advanced human faction. They helped me find you." As Aria stood, rubbing her sore wrists, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. "Looks like our escape hasn't gone unnoticed," she muttered. "What's the plan?" Zara produced a small device from her pocket. "This will cloak us temporarily, but it won't last long. We need to get to the hangar bay. There's a ship waiting, but we'll have to fight our way there." Aria nodded grimly. "Lead the way, and Zara, it's good to see you." The two women shared a brief smile before activating the cloaking device. As they slipped out of the cell and into the chaotic corridors of the alien prison, Aria's mind raced with questions. Who were these advanced humans? Why were they framing Earth for their atrocities? And most importantly, how could they stop them and clear humanity's name? As they rounded a corner, narrowly avoiding a group of panicked guard drones, Aria realized that their mission had changed dramatically. No longer were they simply explorers making first contact. They had been thrust into the middle of an interstellar conflict with the fate of multiple species hanging in the balance. "Captain," Zara whispered as they crouched behind a humming power conduit, "there's something else you should know. The Resistance, they think you're the key to stopping this war. Something about your DNA being pure or unaltered." Aria frowned. "What does that mean?" "I'm not sure," Zara admitted, "but they seemed pretty insistent that getting you out of here was crucial to their plans." Before Aria could respond, a massive explosion rocked the facility. Klaxons blared even louder, and the sound of weapons fire echoed through the corridors. "Looks like our diversion is right on schedule," Zara grinned. "Come on, Captain. Our ride is waiting, and we've got a galaxy to save." As they sprinted towards what Aria hoped was freedom, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were running headlong into something far bigger and more dangerous than they could imagine. But for now, survival was the priority. The questions, and their answers, would have to wait. The hangar bay was a cacophony of alarms and weapons fire when Aria and Zara arrived. Insectoid guards swarmed the area, their chitinous armor gleaming under the harsh emergency lights. In the center of the chaos stood a sleek, unfamiliar spacecraft, their ticket to freedom. "There," Zara pointed, "that's our ride." As they sprinted towards the ship, dodging energy blasts and debris, a new group entered the fray. To Aria's astonishment, they appeared to be a mix of various alien species and humans. These newcomers engaged the insectoid guards with advanced weaponry, creating a path for Aria and Zara. "Friends of yours," Aria shouted over the din. Zara nodded, her face grim. The resistance. Come on. They reached the ship's boarding ramp just as a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms laid down covering fire. Hurry, it yelled in accented English. We cannot hold them much longer. Once inside, Aria was struck by the ship's interior. It was a seamless blend of alien and human technology, far more advanced than anything she had seen before. The cockpit was already occupied by a human man with striking silver eyes. Strap in, he called out as they entered. This is going to be a bumpy ride. As the ship lifted off, shaking from the impacts of enemy fire, Aria turned to Zara. I think it's time for some answers. Who are these people? What's really going on here? Zara opened her mouth to respond, but the silver-eyed pilot cut her off. Save the explanations for when we're not being shot at, yeah. Name's Nikolai, by the way. Welcome to the Chomera. The next few minutes were a blur of evasive maneuvers and weapons fire as Nikolai skillfully piloted them out of the alien facility and into open space. Finally, as the pursuit fell behind, a tense silence fell over the cockpit. Right, Nikolai said, engaging the autopilot. I suppose you've got questions, Captain Chen. Let's head to the briefing room. The others are waiting. The others turned out to be a diverse group of aliens and humans. Besides the blue-skinned, 4-armed alien from the hangar, who introduced himself as Zexley, there was a petite woman with circuitry visibly running beneath her skin, a hulking reptilian creature, and to Aria's shock and relief, her first officer, Jack Torres. Jack, Aria exclaimed, embracing her friend. You're alive. Jack smiled warily. Barely. It's good to see you, Captain. We've got one hell of a situation on our hands. That's putting it mildly, the woman with the circuitry, who introduced herself as Iris, chimed in. Captain Chen, what we're about to tell you may seem impossible, but I assure you, it's all too real. Over the next hour, Aria listened in growing disbelief as the group laid out the truth. The human faction responsible for the attack on Tsar Thantos and other atrocities was from Earth, but not their Earth. They were the product of a parallel universe where humanity had taken a dark turn, augmenting themselves with alien technology and embarking on a campaign of galactic conquest. They call themselves the Ascended, Zexley explained, his 4 hands gesticulating as he spoke. They believe it is humanity's destiny to rule the galaxy by any means necessary. But why frame our Earth? Aria asked, struggling to process the information. We're nowhere near their level of technology. Iris leaned forward, her cybernetic eyes whirring as they focused on Aria. Because you represent what they once were, unaltered humanity. Your presence in this galaxy threatens their narrative that ascension through technology is the only way forward for the human race. And that's where you come in, Nikolai added. Your DNA, untainted by the Ascended's modifications, might be the key to reversing their alterations and stopping them once and for all. Aria sat back, her head spinning. This is a lot to take in. How do you know all this? And how did you find us? Jack spoke up. After we were captured, some of us were separated for special processing. That's when the resistance made contact. Aria leaned back in her chair, her mind reeling from the revelations. The fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy seemed to rest on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, centering herself before addressing the diverse group of allies surrounding her. All right, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. I understand the stakes. What's our next move? Nikolai pulled up a holographic display of a massive space station. This is Nexus Prime, the Ascended's primary research facility. Our intelligence suggests they're working on a device capable of opening stable wormholes between parallel universes. If they succeed, they could bring their entire fleet here, Jack finished grimly. Or worse, start conquering other realities. Zexley's 4 arms moved in complex patterns as he spoke. We must infiltrate Nexus Prime and destroy their research. But more importantly, we need access to their genetic database. It may hold the key to reversing the Ascended's modifications. Arya nodded, her tactical mind already formulating plans. How do we get in? I assume a facility like that has top-notch security. Iris grinned, the circuitry beneath her skin pulsing with excitement. That's where I come in. I've been working on a virus that should temporarily disable their systems, but we'll need a distraction to get close enough to deploy it. I think I might have an idea about that, Zara piped up, a mischievous glint in her eye. But you're not going to like it, Captain. Hours later, Arya found herself questioning her life choices as she stood in the cargo hold of a decrepit-looking freighter. She was dressed in the gaudy, over-elaborate outfit of an ascended dignitary, a disguise that made her skin crawl. "Remind me again why I agreed to this?" she muttered to Jack, who was similarly attired. Her first officer chuckled. "Because you're the only one with unaltered human DNA, which means you're the only one who can fool their bioscanners. Plus, you look ravishing in that headdress." Arya shot him a withering glare, but there was no real heat behind it. The plan was audacious, bordering on insane, but it was their best shot. They would pose as Ascended officials returning from a secret mission, using forged credentials provided by the Resistance. While Arya and Jack distracted the station's security, Iris and Zexley would sneak aboard to plant the virus. As their ship approached Nexus Prime, Arya felt her heart rate spike. The space station was a marvel of engineering, a massive structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Swarms of ships surrounded it, from tiny fighters to massive dreadnoughts. "Unidentified vessel, state your business," a cold, synthesized voice demanded over the comm. Arya stepped forward, channeling every ounce of arrogance she could muster. "This is Overseer Arya Chen of the Ascended High Council. Our arrival was not to be announced. Open your docking bay immediately, or I'll have your entire security team sent to the void mines of Tartarus IV." There was a tense pause before the voice responded, this time with a noticeable tremor. "Of course, Overseer. Please forgive the oversight. Docking Bay 17 is prepared for your arrival." As they maneuvered towards the designated bay, Jack whispered, "Nice performance. You almost had me convinced." Arya allowed herself a small smile. Let's hope it convinced them. Remember, once we're inside, we need to keep their attention for as long as possible. Every second counts. The moment they stepped off the ship, they were greeted by a contingent of Ascended guards. Arya's breath caught in her throat as she saw them up close for the first time. They looked human, but there was something fundamentally wrong about them. Their skin had a metallic sheen, and their eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "Overseer," the lead guard said, bowing deeply. "We were not expecting a visit from the High Council. To what do we owe this honor?" Arya drew herself up to her full height, injecting as much disdain into her voice as possible. "That is not for you to know, underling. Take us to your research division immediately. We have urgent business to attend to." As they were escorted through the labyrinthine corridors of Nexus Prime, Arya's mind raced. She knew that somewhere in the shadows, Iris and Zexley were making their way to the station's central computer core. Their whole plan hinged on buying them enough time to plant the virus and access the genetic database. They were led to a vast laboratory filled with equipment Arya couldn't even begin to comprehend. Scientists scurried about, their augmented bodies a disturbing blend of flesh and machine. "Explain your current progress," Arya demanded, hoping her lack of specific knowledge wouldn't give them away. One of the lead scientists stepped forward, eager to impress. "Overseer, we're on the brink of a breakthrough. Our latest simulations suggest we can stabilize a wormhole for up to 17 minutes, more than enough time to move significant forces through." Arya felt a chill run down her spine. They were cutting it close. "Show me," she ordered, hoping to drag out the demonstration as long as possible. As the scientist launched into a long-winded explanation, Arya caught Jack's eye. A subtle nod confirmed what she was thinking. They needed more time. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The scientist's explanation cut off abruptly as confusion spread across his face. "What's happening?" Arya demanded, trying to mask her relief with anger. Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered and died, plunging the laboratory into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in moments later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. "It appears we have intruders," the lead guard growled, his augmented eyes scanning the room. "Overseer, we must get you to a secure location." Arya's mind raced. This was their chance. "Nonsense," she snapped. "I want to personally oversee the defense of this facility. Take me to your command center immediately." As they were hurried through the chaotic corridors, Arya allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 of their plan was complete. Now came the hard part, staying alive long enough to escape with the information they needed. Little did she know that the greatest challenge and the most shocking revelation was yet to come. The command center of Nexus Prime was a hive of frantic activity when Arya and Jack arrived. Holographic displays flickered with static, and ascended operators worked furiously at their stations, trying to regain control of their systems. "Report," Arya barked, falling easily into the role of a commanding overseer. A harried-looking officer turned to her, his cybernetic implants pulsing with stress. "Overseer, we're dealing with a sophisticated cyber attack. Our defenses are being stripped away layer by layer. We've never seen anything like it." Arya allowed a look of cold fury to cross her face. "Incompetence. I want this situation contained immediately. And where is the station commander?" As if on cue, the doors slid open, and a tall, imposing figure strode in. Arya felt her blood run cold as she recognized the face. It was her own. The station commander, an ascended version of Arya Chen, fixed her with a penetrating stare. "Well," she said, her voice a chilling echo of Arya's own, "this is unexpected." For a moment, Arya feared their cover was blown. But then her doppelganger smiled, a predatory expression that didn't reach her glowing eyes. "The High Council sends a version of me to inspect our work. How fitting." Arya's mind raced. This was an opportunity she couldn't waste. "Your security is laughable," she sneered, channeling every ounce of arrogance she could muster. "Perhaps the Council was right to send me. Clearly, you need guidance." The other Arya's eyes narrowed, but before she could respond, another alarm blared. One of the operators called out, "Commander, we've detected unauthorized access to the genetic database." Both Aryas turned to the display, which showed a schematic of the station. A blinking red light indicated the location of the intrusion. Curious, the commander mused, turning back to Arya. "It seems we have uninvited guests. Care to explain, Overseer?" Arya knew their ruse was seconds from unraveling. She locked eyes with Jack, a silent message passing between them. It was time for Plan B. In one fluid motion, Arya grabbed the sidearm of the nearest guard while Jack overturned a console, providing them with cover. Chaos erupted in the command center as ascended security personnel opened fire. "Iris," Arya shouted into her concealed communicator. "We need an exit, now." "Working on it," came the strained reply. "Just need another minute to download the data." The commander's laughter cut through the din of battle. "Oh, this is delightful," she called out. "Did you really think you could fool us, little unaltered me? Your primitive disguises might fool our basic scans, but did you forget that I know my own face?" Arya gritted her teeth, returning fire as she and Jack slowly backed towards the exit. "Believe me, I take no pleasure in sharing anything with you." "Oh, but you will," the commander purred. "Once we've captured you, you'll be the key to perfecting our alterations. Your pure DNA is exactly what we need to stabilize our more extreme modifications." A nearby console exploded, showering them with sparks. Jack grunted in pain as a piece of shrapnel grazed his arm. "Any time now, Iris." As if in answer, the lights in the command center suddenly went out. In the momentary confusion, Aria felt a hand grab her arm. Zexley's voice whispered, "This way." They ran through the darkened corridors of Nexus Prime, guided by Zexley's superior night vision. Behind them, they could hear the enraged shouts of the Ascended in pursuit. "Please tell me you got what we came for," Aria panted as they rounded another corner. Iris's voice came through their comms, tight with excitement. "We got it and more. You're not going to believe what we found in their database." They burst into a hangar bay where their disguised freighter waited. Nicolet's voice crackled over the comms. "Whatever you did pissed them off good. The whole station's scrambling fighters. We need to leave now." As they sprinted up the boarding ramp, Aria turned for one last look at Nexus Prime. In the distance, she could see her Ascended doppelganger watching their escape, a mixture of fury and intrigue on her face. The ship rocketed out of the hangar bay just as the first wave of fighters began to mobilize. Nicolet's pivoting skills were put to the test as they weaved through the station's formidable defenses. "Hang on to something," he shouted. "This is going to get bumpy." Aria strapped herself into a seat, her mind whirling with questions. What had they discovered in the Ascended's database, and how would they use this information to stop the invasion and clear humanity's name? As Nexus Prime receded in the viewport and the stars stretched into streaks of light around them, Aria allowed herself a moment of hope. They had achieved the impossible, infiltrating the heart of the Ascended's operations and escaping with vital intelligence. But as the adrenaline of their escape began to fade, a new worry gnawed at her. The look in her doppelganger's eyes haunted her. Something told Aria that this was far from over. The Ascended now knew of her existence, and they would stop at nothing to capture her. The fate of two universes now hung in the balance, and Aria Chen was at the center of it all. The Chimera dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a remote sector of space, far from any known Ascended patrols. As the ship's engines powered down to a low hum, the crew gathered in the briefing room, tension palpable in the air. Aria looked around at her unlikely allies, human, alien, and everything in between. They had pulled off a miracle, but the hard part was just beginning. "All right, Iris," she said, turning to the cybernetically enhanced woman. "What did you find in their database?" Paris's eyes glowed as she interfaced with the ship's computer, projecting a holographic display in the center of the room. "It's complicated," she began. "The Ascended's genetic modifications go far beyond anything we imagined. They're not just enhancing themselves, they're trying to evolve into a new species entirely." The display showed a dizzying array of DNA strands and molecular structures. Zexley leaned in, his four eyes widening. "By the cosmic egg," he breathed. "They're incorporating genetic material from multiple species. This goes against every ethical principle of genetic research in the known galaxy." "That's not all," Iris continued. "We also found evidence of their plans for invasion. They're not just targeting our universe. They've identified dozens of parallel Earths, each at a different stage of technological development." Jack shook his head in disbelief. "They're creating an army of augmented humans from across the multiverse." "But why?" Aria asked, trying to make sense of it all. "What's their endgame?" Nicolet, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. "Isn't it obvious? They're afraid of what unaltered humanity might become if left to develop naturally, so they're trying to control the outcome across all possible timelines." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Aria felt a chill run down her spine as she remembered the look in her doppelganger's eyes, not just anger, but fear. "There's something else," Iris said softly. "Something about you, Captain Chen. Your genetic structure. It's special. The Ascended believe you carry a rare mutation that makes you resistant to their alterations. That's why they want you so badly." Aria's mind reeled. "So what do we do with this information? How do we stop them?" Zexley's lower arms tapped a complex rhythm as he thought. "The key lies in your DNA, Captain. If we can synthesize a retrovirus using your genetic material, we might be able to reverse the Ascended's modifications, return them to their unaltered state." But that would mean undoing years of what they consider evolution, Jack pointed out. They're not going to accept that willingly. No, Arya agreed, a plan forming in her mind. But we might not have to force it on all of them. We just need to target their leadership. If we can show them what they've lost, what they could be without the alterations. Nikolay grinned. A psychological attack. I like it. But how do we get close enough to deploy this retrovirus? They'll be expecting us now. We use their own plan against them, Arya said, standing up. They want to invade parallel Earths. Fine, we'll give them one, with a trap waiting. Over the next several hours, the team hashed out a daring plan. They would use the Ascended's own wormhole technology, stolen during their raid on Nexus Prime, to open a portal to a carefully prepared parallel Earth. There, they would lay a trap for the invasion force, using Arya's DNA to create a weaponized retrovirus that would revert the Ascended soldiers to their unaltered states. As the others worked on the technical details, Arya found herself standing alone in the ship's observation deck, staring out at the stars. The weight of what they were about to attempt pressed down on her. Having second thoughts, Jack's voice came from behind her. Arya turned to see her first officer leaning against the doorway. She shook her head. Not second thoughts, just wondering how we got here. A few weeks ago, we were explorers, looking to make peaceful first contact. Now we're planning to alter the course of human evolution across multiple universes. Jack moved to stand beside her, his presence a comforting reminder of home. You know, in all our years of training, they never covered this scenario in the academy. Arya couldn't help but laugh. No, I suppose they didn't. But that's the thing about exploration, isn't it? You never know what you're going to find out there. Jack nodded, his expression turning serious. Whatever happens, Captain, I want you to know it's been an honor serving with you. And I believe in this mission. We're not just fighting for our Earth anymore. We're fighting for the idea of what humanity can be in any universe. Arya felt a lump form in her throat. She reached out and squeezed Jack's hand. Thank you, Jack. I couldn't ask for a better first officer or friend. Their moment was interrupted by Nikolay's voice over the intercom. Captain, we're ready to begin the operation. You might want to see this. Arya and Jack hurried to the bridge, where the rest of the crew was gathered. Through the main viewport, they could see a shimmering portal of energy forming in space. Is that? Arya began. A wormhole, Iris confirmed, her eyes glowing as she interfaced with the ship's systems. Stable and holding. Our target Earth is on the other side, one where humanity is just beginning to explore its own solar system. Perfect for our trap. Zexley approached, holding a small glowing vial. The retrovirus is ready, Captain. Synthesized from your DNA and engineered to spread rapidly through air and physical contact. Once deployed, it should revert any Ascended it touches to their base human state within hours. Arya took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. All right, people, this is it. We have one shot at this. If we fail, the Ascended will overrun not just our Earth, but countless others. We can't let that happen. She looked around at her crew, human, alien, and everything in between. They had come together against impossible odds, united by a common goal. In that moment, Arya felt a surge of pride and determination. Let's show the Ascended what unaltered humanity is really capable of, she said, her voice ringing with conviction. Nikolay, take us through. The chimera surged forward, plunging into the swirling vortex of the wormhole. As reality twisted and bent around them, Arya gripped her chair, her mind focused on the battle to come. On the other side of the portal, a new Earth awaited, and with it, the final confrontation that would determine the fate of humanity across the multiverse. As they emerged on the other side, the familiar blue marble of Earth filled their view. But this wasn't their Earth. It was a world on the brink of a new age of exploration, blissfully unaware of the danger that was about to descend upon it. Multiple contacts incoming. Zara called out from her station. Ascended ships, at least a dozen. They're using our wormhole. Aria's jaw set with determination. Just as we predicted. Nikolai, get us into position. Iris, prepare to broadcast the retrovirus on all frequencies. Everyone else, battle stations. This is where we make our stand. As the ascended fleet emerged from the wormhole, Aria couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at their technological prowess. The ships were sleek, almost organic in design, pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. A transmission crackled through their comms. The face that appeared on the screen was hauntingly familiar, Aria's ascended doppelganger. Well, the commander sneered. The little lost lambs have led us to a new pasture. How thoughtful of you to bring us a fresh earth to enlighten. Aria stepped forward, her voice steady. This ends here, Commander. We won't let you destroy what makes us human in the name of false progress. The commander's laugh was cold and metallic. Oh, my dear unaltered self, you have no idea of the glories that await humanity, the power we've unlocked. Why cling to your limited flesh when you could become so much more? Because what you've become isn't human anymore, Aria shot back. You've lost touch with what really matters, compassion, empathy, the joy of discovery. We're here to remind you. With a nod to Iris, Aria gave the signal. The Chimera's systems hummed as they began broadcasting the retrovirus on all frequencies, targeting the ascended ships with pinpoint accuracy. The effect was almost immediate. Alarms blared across the ascended fleet as their crews began to experience the first symptoms of reversion. The commander's eyes widened in shock and fury. What have you done? She snarled, her form already beginning to shimmer and change. We're giving you back your humanity, Aria said softly. The choice of what to do with it is up to you. The battle that followed was unlike anything Aria had ever experienced. As the retrovirus spread, the ascended ships fell into disarray. Some fought on, desperately trying to maintain their augmented forms. Others turned on each other, confused and frightened by their changing bodies. Through it all, the Chimera danced through space, evading weapons fire and broadcasting the retrovirus at full power. Aria watched in awe as Nikolai's piloting skills kept them one step ahead of destruction. Hours passed in a blur of tension and adrenaline. Finally, as the last of the ascended ships fell silent, a strange calm settled over the battlefield. Report, Aria called out, her voice hoarse from shouting orders. Retrovirus saturation at 100%, Iris reported, her eyes dimming as she disengaged from the ship's systems. All ascended life signs are normalizing. They're reverting, Captain. Aria let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Open a channel to the commander's ship. When the screen flickered to life, the face that greeted her was a shock. Gone were the glowing eyes and metallic sheen. Instead, Aria found herself looking at herself, unaltered, human, with eyes wide with confusion and fear. What have you done to us? The commander whispered, her voice trembling. Aria leaned forward, her expression softening. We've given you a second chance. A chance to remember what it means to be human. The question is, what will you do with it? The silence that followed was heavy with possibility. As Aria looked out at the fleet of now powerless ships, filled with humans rediscovering their own humanity, she realized that their journey was far from over. The threat of the ascended was neutralized, but the work of reconciliation, of bringing together the disparate branches of humanity across the multiverse, was just beginning. It would be a challenge unlike any other, requiring all the compassion, creativity, and courage that humanity could muster. But as Aria looked around at her diverse crew, at the impossible alliance they had forged in the face of overwhelming odds, she felt a glimmer of hope. This was what humanity was capable of, not the cold perfection of the ascended, but the messy, beautiful, ever-evolving tapestry of life in all its forms. Nikolai, she said, a small smile playing on her lips, set a course for home. We have a lot of work to do. As the Chimera turned towards the shimmering wormhole, Aria Chen knew that the greatest adventure of her life, and perhaps of all humanity, was just beginning. The stars beckoned, full of mystery and promise, and this time they would face them together, unaltered, unafraid, and truly human.